Welcome to Audiobook segment. Every story you'll hear is crafted from the ground up, written, produced, and narrated entirely by us. Nothing recycled, nothing repurposed, just original work made for this channel. So grab your headphones, settle in, and enjoy today's audiobook. Chapter 8. Overcoming Procrastination. Procrastination is one of the biggest obstacles between you and your goals. Everyone struggles with it at some point, but the difference between those who succeed and those who don't is how they handle the delay of action. Procrastination is not about laziness, it's about avoidance, avoiding discomfort, fear, or uncertainty. The first step to overcoming procrastination is understanding why it happens. Often, it's linked to fear of failure, fear of judgment, or fear of making the wrong decision. Other times, it's about overwhelm. When a task feels too big or too complex, your brain seeks comfort in distraction instead of action. Breaking procrastination begins with small, deliberate actions. You don't need to tackle the whole task at once. Start with the first step. Open the document, write the first sentence, or make a single phone call. Momentum is built by action, no matter how tiny. One powerful technique is called the 2-minute rule. If a task can be done in 2 minutes or less, do it immediately. This simple habit trains your brain to act rather than delay. For larger tasks, use the same principle, break them into 2-minute actions. Each small action reduces resistance and builds progress. Another key strategy is environment design. Remove distractions that tempt you to delay action. Turn off notifications, close unnecessary tabs, and create a space where focused work is easy. Your environment can either enable procrastination or prevent it. Understanding the reward system of your brain helps as well. Often, procrastination is a search for instant gratification. Social media, snacks, or idle browsing provide immediate pleasure while the task at hand feels uncomfortable. The solution is to make the reward of completing the task more tangible and immediate. Celebrate small wins to reinforce action. Self-talk is also critical. The words you tell yourself shape your behavior. Replace "I have to do this" with "I choose to do this now." The difference may seem small, but it shifts your mindset from obligation to empowerment. Action becomes a choice rather than a burden. Time blocking is another effective method. Schedule specific periods for focused work, treating them as non-negotiable appointments with yourself. When your brain knows there's a dedicated time to act, procrastination loses its grip. It's important to accept that discomfort is part of growth. Most procrastination is avoidance of temporary discomfort, whether it's uncertainty, effort, or fear. Recognizing that discomfort is not permanent and that it precedes progress allows you to act despite hesitation. Accountability strengthens action. Share your goals with someone you trust or track your progress publicly. When others are aware, your natural desire to stay consistent and reliable makes it harder to delay tasks. Finally, remember that action compounds. One completed task leads to another, creating momentum. Each time you overcome the urge to procrastinate, you reinforce the habit of follow-through. Over time, you train your mind to act first and worry later, turning procrastination into productivity. Procrastination doesn't disappear overnight, but with consistent strategies, it loses power. Small steps, deliberate action, and a supportive environment make resistance manageable. When you take control of procrastination, you gain control of your time, energy, and life. Success is rarely about inspiration alone. It's about taking action consistently, even when you don't feel like it. The moment you act, momentum begins, and progress becomes inevitable. Every day, you follow patterns, some you choose, and some you don't even notice. You wake up, check your phone, drink coffee, go to work, and end your day in similar ways. These routines shape who you are and what your future becomes. This audiobook is about the science behind those daily habits, the small actions that quietly build your destiny. Habits are the brain's shortcut to survival. They help you save energy, stay consistent, and focus on what really matters, but they can also trap you, keeping you stuck in patterns that limit your growth. Understanding the science of habits is the first step to taking control of your life. Throughout this audiobook, we'll explore how habits form, why they're so hard to change, and how you can use proven techniques to rewire your mind for success. This isn't about motivation or willpower alone. It's about strategy, structure, and understanding how your brain truly works. So, as you listen, think of the small things you do every day. Each action, no matter how tiny, has the power to shape your future. If you can master your habits, you can master your life. Now, let's begin with Chapter 1. Understanding the Habit Loop. Chapter 1. Understanding the Habit Loop. Every habit you have, good or bad, follows a simple pattern. Scientists call it the habit loop. It has three main parts: the cue, the routine, and the reward. Understanding how this loop works is the key to changing any habit and creating new ones that serve your goals. It starts with a cue. A cue is something that triggers your brain to start the behavior. It could be a time of day, a feeling, a place, or even another person. For example, you might feel stressed, and that becomes the cue to reach for your phone or eat a snack. Then comes the routine, the actual behavior you perform. That's what you do in response to the cue. It could be checking social media, brushing your teeth, or exercising. The routine is the visible part of the habit, the action itself. Finally, there's the reward. This is what your brain gets out of the behavior. It could be pleasure, comfort, relief, or satisfaction. The reward tells your brain, this felt good. Do it again. Over time, the brain learns to connect the cue, the routine, and the reward together. That's how habits are born. The amazing part is that once a habit forms, your brain stops working so hard. It runs the behavior automatically. That's why habits can feel so powerful and so difficult to change. You might not even realize when they're happening. Neuroscientists have discovered that habits are stored in a deep part of the brain called the basal ganglia. This area controls automatic behaviors like walking or typing. When you repeat an action over and over, the brain rewires itself to make that action easier. It saves energy by turning it into a routine pattern. The more you repeat a habit, the stronger the neural pathway becomes. It's like walking through tall grass. The first time is hard, but after many trips, the path becomes clear and easy to follow. That's what repetition does inside your brain. But here's the catch. The brain doesn't care if the habit is good or bad. It only cares about efficiency. If something gives you a reward, your brain learns to crave it, even if it's harmful. That's why bad habits stick just as easily as good ones. To change a habit, you have to understand your loop. You can't just remove a habit, you have to replace it. The cue will still appear, and your brain will still expect a reward. If you can insert a new, healthier routine between the same cue and reward, you can change your behavior without fighting your biology. For example, if your cue is stress and your routine is scrolling on your phone, the reward might be temporary relief. If you replace the routine with deep breathing or a short walk, you still get relief, but in a healthier way. Over time, your brain learns that the new routine gives the same reward, and the habit changes. Awareness is the first step. Many people try to change habits through willpower alone, but that rarely works because they ignore the cue and reward. Once you identify what triggers your habit and what reward you're chasing, you gain control. Think about a habit you want to change. Maybe it's procrastinating, overeating, or skipping workouts. Ask yourself, what's the cue that starts it? What's the reward you're seeking? Once you know those answers, you can design a new loop that works in your favor. Habit loops can also be used to build positive habits. If you want to start reading every night, create a cue, like placing your book on your pillow. The routine is reading, and the reward could be relaxation or satisfaction. Repeat that loop often enough, and soon it becomes automatic. Understanding the habit loop turns change into a science. You no longer rely on luck or motivation. You rely on structure. By working with your brain instead of against it, you can make transformation natural and lasting. Every successful person, every athlete, every entrepreneur who seems disciplined has simply mastered their habit loops. They don't think harder, they've trained their brains to make the right actions automatic. You have that same ability. Once you understand how habits are wired, you can take control of your life at its roots. Every goal, every dream, every transformation starts with mastering one simple thing, the loop that drives your daily behavior. Chapter 2. How habits shape your identity. Every action you take is like a vote for the kind of person you want to become. Every time you choose to exercise, you cast a vote for being a healthy person. Every time you write a page, you vote for being a writer. Every time you help someone, you vote for being kind. Your habits don't just shape what you do, they shape who you are. Over time, your repeated actions form your identity, and your identity reinforces your actions. It's a loop. What you do becomes who you are, and who you believe you are influences what you do. Think about it like this. Most people focus on goals. I want to lose weight. I want to make more money. Or I want to be more confident. But real, lasting change doesn't come from setting goals. It comes from changing your identity. When your habits align with the person you want to become, success happens naturally. Let's take an example. Suppose someone wants to stop smoking. If they only focus on the goal, I'm trying to quit, they still see themselves as a smoker who's trying not to smoke. But if they shift their identity to I'm not a smoker, everything changes. Each decision now supports that identity. The focus moves from what they're trying to achieve to who they are becoming. Your brain is always looking for consistency. When your habits and your self-image match, your brain feels comfortable. When they conflict, your brain feels tension. And it will always push you to act in line with who you believe you are. That's why identity is so powerful in shaping habits. Changing your habits, then, isn't just about changing what you do. It's about changing what you believe. You have to prove your new identity to yourself through small repeated actions. Each time you follow through, you reinforce the story you're telling yourself. If you want to become a reader, read one page every night. If you want to become fit, do one push-up. If you want to become more organized, tidy one corner of your room. These small wins are not meaningless. They're the evidence your brain needs to start believing. This is who I am now. The problem most people face is that they try to change from the outside in. They focus on results first, then process, and only last on identity. But true change happens in the opposite order, from the inside out. Identity. Who do you want to be? Process. What habits align with that identity? Outcome. What results come naturally from those habits? When you start with identity, the rest follows. You no longer need to push yourself with motivation because your actions flow from who you are. A person who identifies as a healthy eater doesn't need to force themselves to skip junk food. It simply doesn't fit their identity anymore. So ask yourself, who do you want to become? Don't just focus on what you want to achieve. Define the type of person capable of achieving it. Then, build habits that make you that person. Every day is a chance to vote for your future self. Every choice, no matter how small, is proof of the person you're becoming. When your habits reflect the identity you want to live by, success stops being a struggle. It becomes natural. You don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your habits, and your habits are built on the foundation of who you believe you are. Chapter 3. The Psychology of Consistency. Human beings are creatures of pattern. Our brains crave consistency because it helps us feel safe, certain, and in control. Consistency is not just about repeating the same actions, it's about creating stability, mentally, emotionally, and physically. When we act consistently, our brains can predict what happens next, reducing stress and freeing up energy for other things. This is why habits are powerful. When something becomes a habit, your brain no longer needs to make a decision every time. Think about brushing your teeth, tying your shoes, or checking your phone. You don't need to think about it, you just do it. That's the psychology of consistency in action. The brain loves anything it can automate. At its core, consistency is about trust. Trust in yourself. When you keep promises to yourself, even small ones, your confidence grows. You begin to believe, I can depend on me, and that belief changes everything. When you skip your promises too often, though, your brain starts to doubt you. It whispers, you never follow through, and that voice can quietly destroy your motivation. Let's look at an example. Imagine you set a goal to exercise every morning. On day 1, you do it. Day 2, you do it again. Day 3, you feel tired, but you still show up, even if it's just for 5 minutes. That's consistency. You're not building muscle at that moment. You're building trust with yourself. You're proving that you can rely on your own word. The psychology behind this is simple. Our self-image depends on repeated experiences. The more often you act in a certain way, the more your brain accepts that behavior as part of your identity. So, the more consistent you are, the more automatic your habits become. But there's a secret most people don't talk about. Consistency doesn't mean perfection. Missing a day doesn't break your progress. What matters most is returning to the pattern quickly. The 2-day rule is a great example. Never miss twice in a row. If you skip one day, fine, but get back on track the next day. This simple rule helps you stay consistent without the guilt of perfectionism. Your brain rewards patterns. Every time you repeat a behavior, neurons in your brain fire together. Over time, they wire together, creating stronger connections that make the behavior easier next time. That's how repetition becomes instinct. It's called neuroplasticity, and it's the science behind how habits form. Consistency also shapes how others see you. Think about the people you admire. Chances are they are consistent in their work, their attitude, their energy. Whether it's a teacher, athlete, or leader, their success didn't come from occasional effort. It came from daily dedication. Consistency earns respect because it shows reliability, and reliability is rare. Here's a truth worth remembering. Motivation gets you started, but consistency keeps you going. You won't always feel inspired, you won't always feel ready. But if you show up anyway, especially when it's hard, you strengthen your mental discipline. You teach your brain that feelings don't decide your actions. Commitment does. When you act consistently, something magical happens. Your habits start to feel natural. You stop debating whether to do something, you just do it. That's when you know your behavior has shifted from effort to identity. So the next time you don't feel like keeping a promise to yourself, remember this: every action counts. Every repetition builds your foundation, and every small step, done over and over again, compounds into transformation. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to be consistent enough that your brain starts to believe, this is who I am now. Chapter 4. The Power of Small Wins. Success is not built in a single moment. It's built in small steps that seem almost invisible at first. These tiny victories, the ones that most people overlook, are the real foundation of lasting achievement. They are the sparks that ignite momentum, confidence, and change. When you take a small step toward your goal, even something as simple as getting out of bed early, reading a single page, or choosing water over soda, your brain gets a hit of dopamine, the feel-good chemical. That little burst of satisfaction motivates you to do it again. This is the science behind small wins. They create positive feedback loops that push you forward. Think of it like climbing a mountain. From the bottom, the peak looks impossible. But when you focus on just the next step, one careful move at a time, suddenly the climb feels doable. Each step gives you proof that progress is happening, even if it's slow. Over time, Those steps add up to the summit. Most people fail, not because they lack big goals, but because they ignore small wins. They underestimate how much progress comes from doing simple things consistently. They want the reward without the repetition, but real growth comes from compound effort, the kind that multiplies over time. Let's imagine you want to become more disciplined. You don't start by overhauling your entire life. You start by setting your alarm 5 minutes earlier and actually getting up when it rings. Do it for a week, then make it 10 minutes. Over time, you train your brain to follow through. Each small win builds your identity as a disciplined person. Small wins are powerful because they build momentum. Momentum is the invisible force that keeps you moving, even when motivation fades. It's easier to keep going once you've already started. Think about pushing a car. The hardest part is getting it to move. Once it's rolling, it takes much less effort to keep it going. Habits work the same way. There's also a psychological effect called the progress principle. It means that when people see themselves making progress, even tiny progress, they feel happier, more motivated, and more productive. That's why small wins matter more than waiting for big breakthroughs. Progress, no matter how small, feels like purpose. Here's another example. Suppose you want to write a book. Staring at a blank page feels overwhelming, but writing 1 paragraph a day feels manageable. After a week, that's 7 paragraphs. After a month, several pages. After a year, an entire book. The difference between a dream and a result is the accumulation of small wins. The problem is, our minds are wired to crave big results. We want instant change, fast rewards, quick recognition. But success doesn't happen in bursts. It happens in layers. Every small win you achieve becomes a brick in the wall of your future success. Miss a few bricks and the wall still stands. Keep adding bricks, and before long, you've built something real and strong. The trick is to notice your small wins. Celebrate them. Don't dismiss them as not enough. When you acknowledge progress, your brain locks in the behavior. You start to crave that sense of achievement. It's not about ego. It's about encouragement. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, that's a win. Every time you choose growth over comfort, that's a win. Every time you do something that your past self would have avoided, that's a win. These moments may look small, but they're proof that you're changing. One choice at a time. So, instead of asking, how far am I from success? Ask, what's one small win I can earn today? Because if you win the small moments, you'll win the big ones automatically. Over days, small wins build habits. Over months, habits build character. Over years, character builds success. And the best part, it all starts with one small step. Today, Chapter 5, Building Systems That Work. Goals give you direction, but systems keep you moving. Most people focus on what they want to achieve, the finish line, but few pay attention to the process that gets them there. Success isn't just about setting goals. It's about building systems that make progress automatic. Think about it like this. A goal is your destination, and a system is your vehicle. If the vehicle doesn't work, it doesn't matter how clear the destination is, you'll never arrive. People fail, not because their dreams are too big, but because their systems are too weak. A system is simply the collection of daily habits that guide your actions. It's the routine, structure, and environment that shape how you behave. A strong system doesn't rely on willpower or motivation. It works even when you don't feel like it. That's what makes it powerful. Let's look at an example. Suppose your goal is to get fit. Your system might be working out at the same time each day, keeping your gym clothes ready the night before, following a simple workout routine that's easy to start. With this system, you've removed the need to make constant decisions. The more decisions you eliminate, the easier it becomes to take action. This concept is called decision automation, and it's the secret weapon of productive people. The truth is, motivation fades, but systems don't. When you depend only on motivation, You'll act inconsistently, sometimes driven, sometimes lazy. But when you have a system, your habits take over. The system doesn't care how you feel, it just runs. That's how professionals separate themselves from amateurs. They rely on systems, not emotions. Here's another way to think about it. Imagine two runners. Both want to complete a marathon. Runner A wakes up every morning and decides whether or not to train based on how they feel. Runner B follows a system. They run every morning at 7 a.m. no matter what. After 6 months, runner B is far ahead. Not because they were more talented, but because their system didn't allow inconsistency. Systems create predictability, and predictability builds momentum. When you know exactly what to do next, you waste less mental energy. That's how systems save time. They protect your focus for the things that truly matter. One of the biggest mistakes people make is designing systems that are too complicated. The best systems are simple. A good system should make the right behavior easy and the wrong behavior hard. Want to read more? Keep a book next to your bed. Want to use your phone less? Charge it in another room. These small environmental changes make consistencies natural. Environment plays a major role in how systems work. You don't rise above your environment. You adapt to it. If your surroundings make bad habits easy, you'll fall into them. But if your surroundings make good habits convenient, you'll naturally do them without resistance. A powerful system also includes tracking. What you measure, you improve. Even a simple checklist or daily log can help you see patterns. Tracking keeps your brain aware of your progress, which strengthens motivation and accountability. Here's a truth worth remembering. You don't need to be perfect. You just need a system that keeps you from quitting. A system is like a safety net. Even when you fall, it catches you and gets you back on track. When you rely on systems, success stops feeling like luck. It becomes the natural result of consistent, repeatable actions. That's how top performers in every field operate. Athletes, artists, entrepreneurs, students, they all build systems that make success unavoidable. So ask yourself, what system do you have in place for your goals? If you don't have one, start small. Pick one area of your life, your health, your learning, your focus, and build a daily system around it. Then stick with it until it becomes automatic. Goals tell you where to go. Systems tell you how to get there. And once your system starts working for you, you'll realize something powerful. You no longer have to chase success. You just have to maintain the machine that creates it. Chapter 6. The role of focus and attention. In a world full of distractions, focus has become one of the rarest and most valuable skills you can develop. Every day, your attention is pulled in 100 directions. Notifications, emails, social media, endless choices, yet your success depends on where you place that attention. Because what you focus on grows. Focus is not just about working harder, it's about working smarter. It's the ability to direct your mental energy toward one thing, long enough for it to make a difference. You can't build strong habits or systems if your attention keeps shifting. The science of focus shows that our brains are wired to do one thing well at a time. Multitasking feels productive, but it actually divides attention and weakens performance. When you switch tasks, your brain takes time to readjust. This is called attention residue. Every time you move from one task to another, a part of your focus stays behind, making you slower and less effective. That's why deep work, long, uninterrupted focus on one task, leads to faster progress and better results. Habits thrive in focused environments. When you remove distractions, your brain learns faster and performs better. Think about how a magnifying glass works. Sunlight scattered across a surface does nothing, but when concentrated through a lens, it becomes powerful enough to start a fire. Focus works the same way. Concentration turns small actions into major results. But how do you build focus in a distracted world? It starts with clarity. You need to know what truly matters. Every time you say yes to something unimportant, you're saying no to something that could change your life. Your attention is limited. Spend it wisely. Here's a simple rule. Protect the first hour of your day. What you focus on first sets the tone for everything that follows. If you start your morning checking your phone, your brain enters a reactive state, chasing notifications, updates and opinions. But if you begin your day with purpose, reading, writing, exercising, reflecting, your mind becomes calm, clear, and directed. Environment shapes attention too. If your workspace is filled with noise, clutter, and distractions, your focus will suffer. Design your environment for depth. Remove what steals your attention and surround yourself with cues that keep you on track. There's a reason top performers work in routines. Focus thrives in predictability. When your brain knows what's coming next, it doesn't waste energy deciding what to do. You enter a state of flow, that zone where time disappears and your best work happens effortlessly. The ability to focus is also tied to your energy. You can't expect strong attention if your body is exhausted. Sleep, exercise, and nutrition are not optional. They're the foundation of mental clarity. A tired mind is a distracted mind. A well-rested mind is sharp, calm, and disciplined. Distractions are not just external, they're internal too. Sometimes the biggest distraction is your own thoughts, worries, doubts, overthinking. That's why mindfulness is powerful. Taking a few minutes each day to breathe, observe, and reset your mind trains your brain to return to the present moment. Focus begins with awareness. It's easy to underestimate the power of attention, but think of it like water. Wherever you pour it, that area grows. Pour it on distractions, and you'll grow frustration. Pour it on your goals, and you'll grow results. You don't need to eliminate every distraction in your life. You just need to master the ability to return your attention to what matters most. That's the essence of focus. Not perfect stillness, but consistent redirection. Remember this. Attention is the currency of your future. Spend it on the things that build you, not the things that break your concentration. When you train your focus, your habits get stronger. When your habits get stronger, your systems become unstoppable. And when your systems run smoothly, success stops being accidental, it becomes inevitable. Chapter 7. The Power of Discipline Over Motivation. Motivation is fleeting. It comes in waves and disappears just as quickly. One day you feel unstoppable, ready to conquer the world. The next, you struggle to get out of bed. Relying solely on motivation is like trying to power a car with gusts of wind. It will move sometimes, but not consistently. That's why discipline is far more powerful. Discipline is doing what needs to be done, even when you don't feel like it. It's not exciting, and it doesn't always feel rewarding in the moment, but it builds consistency, momentum, and results over time. Discipline turns intentions into action, and action into habits. Motivation gets you started, but discipline keeps you going. Imagine two people with the same goal, to write a book. One waits until they feel inspired, while the other writes a little every day, regardless of how they feel. The motivated person may have bursts of progress, but the disciplined person will finish their book. Motivation is the spark, but discipline is the engine. The science behind discipline shows that your brain rewards consistency more than effort. When you repeatedly follow through on your commitments, your neural pathways strengthen. Over time, behaviors that once required struggle become automatic. Discipline is the bridge between intention and identity. Discipline also protects you from your own emotions. Feelings are unpredictable. They change with mood, stress, or environment. If you rely only on feelings to act, you'll constantly struggle. Discipline ensures that your actions are not at the mercy of how you feel. It makes success reliable. Building discipline starts with small, manageable actions. Don't try to overhaul your entire life overnight. Instead, pick one area and commit to showing up every day. It could be 5 minutes of exercise, writing a paragraph, or reviewing your goals. Small acts of discipline compound over time. Accountability strengthens discipline. When you make commitments to yourself or others and stick to them, your self-trust grows. Every completed task reinforces the belief that you are capable of following through. And that belief fuels even more disciplined behavior. Environment plays a key role as well. Discipline is easier when your surroundings support the behavior you want to maintain. Remove distractions, create cues for positive actions, and make bad habits inconvenient. Your environment can either help or hinder your ability to stay disciplined. Self-discipline is also about delay of gratification. You may not feel the reward immediately, but by choosing long-term benefits over short-term pleasure, you train your brain to value growth. Skipping the extra dessert today or spending time learning instead of scrolling pays off exponentially over months and years. Discipline develops strength of character. It teaches resilience, patience, and self-control. It allows you to face challenges with confidence because you've proven to yourself that you can follow through, no matter what. Motivation comes and goes, but character lasts. One key practice is habit stacking, linking a new habit to an existing one. For example, after brushing your teeth, you meditate for 2 minutes. This small act requires discipline at first, but once it becomes a routine, it reinforces both your existing habit and your new one. Discipline creates structures that turn effort into effortless consistency. Another aspect is avoiding reliance on willpower alone. Willpower is limited and depletes throughout the day. Discipline doesn't depend on fleeting energy, it depends on systems, identity, and consistency. By reducing the need for constant choice, discipline becomes easier to maintain. Remember this: successful people don't always feel like working harder. They don't wait for the perfect mood or the perfect day. They have developed the habit of discipline, doing what is necessary, even when inconvenient, uncomfortable, or challenging. That's why they achieve what others cannot. Discipline also inspires freedom. It may sound contradictory, but the more disciplined you are, the fewer decisions you have to stress over. Your habits run automatically, your systems work efficiently, and your goals progress steadily. Discipline gives you control over your life rather than being controlled by impulses. In the end, motivation may start the journey, but discipline completes it. Motivation is the spark, but discipline is the steady flame that keeps your life moving forward, regardless of circumstances, feelings, or challenges. When you master discipline, you no longer depend on luck, mood, or external conditions. You become unstoppable, consistent, and capable of turning daily effort into extraordinary results. Resilience is the ability to recover from setbacks, adapt to change, and keep moving forward despite difficulties. It is not something we are simply born with, it is cultivated through daily habits and consistent effort. Every small action you take builds mental, emotional, and physical strength that prepares you for life's challenges. Daily habits shape resilience by creating structure and stability. When your routines are consistent, your mind and body learn to expect predictability. This predictability provides a sense of control even when the outside world feels chaotic. Resilient people don't wait for problems to go away. They build inner stability that allows them to face challenges head-on. One essential habit for resilience is reflection. Taking a few minutes each day to review your experiences, successes, failures, and lessons learned helps you process setbacks without becoming overwhelmed. Reflection allows you to see problems objectively and identify solutions rather than getting lost in frustration or self-doubt. Another powerful habit is physical activity. Regular exercise strengthens your body and boosts mental endurance. Physical stress trains your mind to handle discomfort and persist through challenges. Whether it's running, yoga, or strength training, moving your body daily creates a foundation for mental toughness. Resilient people also practice gratitude. Taking time each day to acknowledge what you have, even amidst challenges, builds emotional strength. Gratitude shifts your focus from what is wrong to what is working, helping you maintain perspective and reduce stress. Building resilience also involves preparing for obstacles in advance. Habitually planning, setting realistic goals, and anticipating challenges allows you to respond calmly rather than react impulsively. The more prepared you are, the less daunting setbacks become. Discipline is at the core of resilience. When you stick to your routines and habits, even during difficult times, you reinforce the belief that you are capable of enduring challenges. Each day you follow through, no matter how hard it feels, strengthens your mental stamina. Mindset plays a critical role. Resilient individuals see setbacks not as failures but as opportunities to learn and grow. They frame challenges as temporary and specific, rather than permanent and personal. This perspective prevents discouragement and fuels persistence. Habits of social support also build resilience. Maintaining connections with friends, family, or mentors provides emotional reinforcement during hard times. Sharing experiences, seeking advice, and offering support creates a network that strengthens your ability to cope. Sleep and nutrition are often overlooked, but essential for resilience. A well-rested body and mind recover faster from stress and think more clearly under pressure. Daily habits that prioritize rest, hydration, and healthy nutrition equip you to handle adversity more effectively. Finally, resilience is built through repetition and patience. Small, consistent efforts matter more than occasional bursts of strength. Each day you practice healthy habits, manage your reactions, and stay committed to your routines, your capacity to withstand setbacks grows. By embedding resilience into daily habits, you transform challenges into opportunities. Setbacks become temporary obstacles, not permanent barriers. The more consistent you are in building these habits, the stronger, more adaptable, and confident you become. Success is not determined by avoiding difficulties, but by responding to them with steady, resilient habits. Each small action compounds over time, creating an inner strength that no external circumstance can easily shake. Chapter 10: Achieving Mastery Through Habit Stacking. Mastery is not the result of talent alone. It is the result of consistent, deliberate practice. And one of the most effective ways to achieve mastery is through habit stacking, linking new, productive habits onto existing routines to make progress effortless. Habit stacking works because your brain craves patterns. When a habit is already established, it becomes automatic. By attaching a new habit to that existing behavior, you leverage the power of what is already ingrained. This reduces friction and makes the new habit easier to adopt. For example, if you already brush your teeth every morning, you could stack a habit of flossing immediately afterward. Or if you drink a morning cup of coffee, you could pair it with a short planning session for your day. The old habit acts as a trigger, and the new habit becomes a natural extension. The key to effective habit stacking is simplicity. Start with small, manageable actions that take minimal effort. A tiny habit, repeated consistently, grows into a powerful routine over time. It's not the size of the habit that matters initially, but the consistency and integration into your life. Another principle of habit stacking is sequencing. Arrange habits in a logical order so that each one naturally leads to the next. Morning routines, work rituals, and evening wind-downs all benefit from this approach. A well-designed sequence turns multiple small actions into a cohesive system that moves you steadily toward mastery. Tracking your stacked habits reinforces progress. Even a simple checklist provides visual proof of consistency, boosting motivation and reinforcing identity. The more you see yourself following through, the more automatic the habits become. The science behind habit stacking also involves rewards. Each completed habit provides a small sense of accomplishment, which strengthens the neural pathways associated with the behavior. Over time, your brain begins to anticipate the satisfaction, making the routine self-reinforcing. Mastery is achieved when small, consistent habits compound over months and years, professionals, artists, and leaders don't rely on occasional bursts of inspiration. They design systems that produce results automatically. They stack their habits intentionally, so effort is minimal and progress is constant. Even setbacks can be managed through habit stacking. When life disrupts your routine, the stacked structure helps you recover quickly. Missing one habit doesn't derail the system. You simply pick up where you left off, maintaining momentum. The ultimate goal of habit stacking is identity transformation. Each action reinforces who you are becoming. When habits are aligned with your desired identity, mastery follows naturally. You are not forcing yourself to act. You are living as the person you want to be. By stacking habits strategically, you make success inevitable. Your daily choices, compounded over time, create extraordinary results. Mastery is not a distant goal. It is built in the small, deliberate actions you take consistently every day. In the end, the path to success is not about willpower, luck, or talent alone. It's about understanding the science of habits, building systems that work, staying disciplined, focusing your attention, overcoming procrastination, cultivating resilience, and stacking habits strategically. Each chapter of this audiobook has shown how small, consistent actions create extraordinary outcomes. Now the choice is yours. Apply these principles, build your habits intentionally, and watch your life transform. Every small action counts. Every choice matters. The future you want is not a dream. It's the result of the habits you create today.